In this video, we're going to explore another really important array method. It's called array includes. It's really handy that all array method names make sense. So with the find, you can find one element from the array. With push, you can push an element. With map, you can map over the array. With for each, you can do something for each element of the array. With includes, you're simply checking, does this array include some elements? That's it. So, in simple words, the array includes checks if an array contains a certain value and returns true or false based on the result. Let's test it out on a few examples. In here, let's create a const called array1, and then in there, it's going to be an array of 1, 2, and 3. That's it. Finally, we can use that includes method to check whether we have a certain number in there. So to do that, we're going to say console log, and inside of that console log, we're going to call this array1 and then call the dot includes method on it. Inside of here, you can pass in any element. For example, let's say that we want to see if the array1 includes the number 2. If we now save this, you can see that that is true. Let's explore it furthermore. If we put 3, of course that's true as well. If we put 4, that's false. What do you think would happen if we put a string of 3? That's also going to be false. It needs to be a number. We tried it with numbers, but let's try it with words. Let's create an array called pets. And then in there, we can have a cat, we can have a dog, for example, and we can have a llama. Now, we want to know if this array contains a certain element. To do that, again, we can do a console log, and now we can call pets.includes, and in there, let's pass something like cat. Does this array contain a string of cat? As you can see, that is true, really straightforward, but if we put, for example, a string of add, that's gonna be false. It contains cat, not at. You can see, as with many other array methods, array.includes is pretty straightforward. But let's test this on a just a bit more complex example. Let's say that we are a librarian looking for a particular book inside of a bookshelf array. For that, we're going to create an array called bookshelf. And then in there, let's put some classics. Let's do Moby Dick. Let's also do, for example, The Great Gatsby. And let's do Pride and Prejudice. Great. Some classics in there. Now, the situation is as follows. A reader comes into a bookstore and asks the librarian if they have a certain book. If bookshelf.includes, and now in here we can pass that specific book the reader is asking for. For example, let's say that he's asking for Moby Dick. Great. And now, if that is going to be equal to true, because we know that this bookshelf.includes or includes method in particular returns a boolean, right? So we can check if this is true, then we want to do something. More specifically, we want to have a console log that's going to say, we have that book. Here you go, just like that. But we're going to also have an else. We are also going to have an else. In this case, the library doesn't possess that book, so we can say console log. And let's do something like cannot find the book. Sorry, just like that. Great. Now, if we run this, what do we get? We have the book. Here you go. That's great. Now, if we try it with something else, for example, with The Great Gatsby, that also works. Great. But now I want to show you something. What if we have this as lowercase? What do you think? If everything is lowercase, is that going to work? The string is really similar, but as you can see, that doesn't work. That means that array includes is case sensitive. The string needs to be exactly the same. It needs to include the same letter casing. And if a reader chooses a book that the library doesn't have, that's going to be Harry Potter, for example. As you can see, cannot find the book, sorry. This is just a really simple example, but you can see how using this array methods, we can convey a lot of logic that we can build into a lot of different applications. With all the methods you currently know, you could already build so many amazing applications that you have the ideas for. With that said, I just want to show you one more thing, which is going to be a small improvement to our current implementation of this small application, and that's going to be that we don't need this check if it's equal to true. If I delete this, this would work completely fine. As you can see, Harry Potter nothing, and then if we put Moby Dick in there, that works. We have that book, here you go. Why don't we need that check to check if this is true? What do you think? Well, if you remember the lecture about true and false values, then you should know that this if statement has a condition inside of here. JavaScript is always going to try to convert this condition to a true or false values. But in this case, it doesn't even have to, because as we said, array includes returns either a true boolean, a true value, or a false value. So bookshelf.includes Moby Dick, that's going to be true. We don't need to say if true is equal to true. True is immediately true, and that's it. With that said, we can only have this in here, and it's going to work perfectly fine. To repeat it one more time, the array includes method checks if an array contains a certain value and returns true or false based on the result. That's it. I hope you learned this method right now with this video and that you're going to be able to use it once you need it.